Separately this afternoon, she delivered up again the average for a 30-year American Federation of Teachers conference. Mortgage rate sent from 6.77%. Your mortgage now at 6.78% from dipping last week compared to the week before. And jobless claims dipping last week compared to the week. Murdoch facing off against news. It's a real-life success to decide the future of his Murdoch facing off against 3 of his children in a legal fight that could has details.
The New York Times
Empire. ABC's Ariel Reshef has
Times reports Rupert Murdoch initiated secretive legal proceedings. His eldest son, Lachlan, remains in control. Family's trust to ensure his eldest son, Lachlan, remains in control, argues giving. And according to the Times, Rupert will without interference from his more politically moderate sibling.
Murdoch taken the company, but wants to cement
leaning perspective.
Murdoch doesn't appear to be seeking to company, but wants to cement Lachlan to be on seats when they boarded. But the U.S. Airlines after more than 5 decades, passengers boarded. But the airline says that's changing because passengers asked flights. Michelle Franzen also offering red-eye flights. Michelle Franzen.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams July summer sale and get 35% off paints and stains from July 26th through August 5th. With prices starting at $31.84, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Your ABC News weather forecast being brought to you this hour by Jack Garrett Ford.
Revolutionary savings await you now at Jack Garrett Ford with a huge inventory of pre-owned deals to choose from. Examples while they last. A 20 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew 4x4, $39,900. 14 Mazda CX-5 Grand Touring all-wheel drive, $17,900. 21 Ford Bronco Outer Banks, $29,900. Star-spangled savings all over the lot. So march in today. Jack Garrett Ford, Ripley Road, Spencer.
104.7 Mountain Country Weather.
Taking a look at your Mountain Country AccuWeather forecast for the remainder of today. Cloudy skies with a high near 85 degrees. Overnight forecast. Clear skies with a low of 67 degrees. Partly sunny on Friday with a high dipping up near 86 degrees. It's going to be a great weekend. 85 to 90 degrees and sunny on Saturday and Sunday. Rain coming into the forecast at the beginning of the week. Monday, 82 is your high with about a 50% chance of rain. Tuesday, again, 50% chance of some passing thunderstorms with a high of 83. Currently on the hill, it is 80 degrees, and that's a look at your forecast.
Mountain Country 104.7.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Happy to be joined in studio once again. Our continuing coverage leading up to the rebirth, the renewal, the resurgence of the Roane Arts and Humanities Council. They are doing a variety show coming up this Saturday night at Roane County High School in the auditorium at 7 p.m. It's going to be a great show filled with many different types of acts, and it's just $5 at the door. Again, 7 p.m. is the start time, and they'll open the doors for the show at about 6:30 p.m. If you have nothing else that you're thinking of, or you don't have plans yet, make plans to attend because it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're very happy. We've been joined throughout the week by a couple of different people who will be performing in certain ways. We were happy to be talking back on Monday with Melon Musgrove, who's going to be singing a song. It's from an older Broadway show called Pippin. She's going to be singing a song. We had Beth Griffith said she's going to be doing a one-person show, and it's just going to be a story that she tells, but it's also going to have a comedic flair to it, and it's called My Flabulous Life. My Flabulous life is what it's called. Tuesday, we had Teresa Parker, and we were supposed to have the outlaw himself. It would have been a prodigal son returning here to WVRC. Wires mixed up. He's not going to be here today. He'll be here this evening at 5 o'clock, so we'll be excited to have Jim Chandler in studio talking about what he's doing. But we do have a couple of youngsters in here, as we were just talking with one of the new ones to the group. We are very happy to be joined by Anna Grace Hayes and James Rich. We'll start with you, James. Very young, as we were talking off the air.
Well, my mom reminded me that I'm not quite as young as I thought I was.
And James, you are new to the area here in Roane County. Talk about your journey to get to Roane County from where you were.
Okay. Well, I grew up in North Carolina, and I've always followed my passions. My first one was playing the piano when I was like 8 years old. I learned that, and then at 14, I was interested in gymnastics because I saw a girl at a pig picking at our church do back handsprings on the lawn, and I was like, "Oh man, I need to learn how to do that," you know. So, and then in the 80s, I went back to music, but I became a nightclub DJ, and I wanted to learn how to mix records together seamlessly like that, you know, like they did, and I found that really interesting. And then moved to the desert. Long story short, I ended up in the desert in 2004 by Joshua Tree National Park. And I didn't really know what I was going to do. I didn't really know how I was going to reinvent myself. But live music and art was a big thing there. So I started playing the piano again and practicing. I hadn't done it in years. And I did a little art. I met a printmaker, so I did some art there and learned a little bit about printmaking and monotype prints. And I actually joined the Arts Council there as a volunteer so that I could help them get started with their open studio art tours and things like that. And that was a great way to get to meet people there. And then I guess in 2015, around there, I started wanting to do something else, and so I found out about an acting class that was going to happen. So I took that, and then I got bitten by the acting bug, and I was in 3 plays and really enjoyed it so much, you know. And there were times I felt like I did a good job, and there were times where I felt like I wasn't so great, you know. But that's the way it is with acting, you know. Some of my better performances were at the rehearsals, I think, you know. But it was great, and then the pandemic kind of stopped that, so. So then I just started teaching myself the ukulele, and I've been working on that for a few years. And so when I found out about this was happening, the variety show, I was like, well, the thing I've been working on the most right now is the ukulele. So I'll try to do that, you know, and try to get involved and meet people here and get out, you know, because I kind of been at home for a year, cleaning up my property and doing stuff like that, so it's time to get out.
We're talking with James Rich and Anna Grace Hayes, who are going to be involved in the Roane Arts and Humanities Council variety show coming up this Saturday. You talked about the pandemic, and this is something that we've talked about throughout this series, the pandemic that really wrecked a lot of things in many different ways. The Arts and Humanities Council here in Roane County was one of those organizations that just got crushed by that. They could not hold shows, could not do anything with it. And so this opportunity is kind of like a resurgence and a rebirth for them. You, on the other hand, you were out in Joshua Tree National Park, and something else bit you. It wasn't just the fact that you were enjoying the acting bug. Something wanting to draw you back home was different.
Yes. I guess I was really just... The desert's wonderful, and I loved it there. It was a great experience, but you get to missing the green, and you get to missing the water and the rain. I mean, when you live in the desert, when it rains, you're so thrilled. You know, everybody gets so excited, you know, and it's like, you know, living somewhere where it's really rainy, like Seattle, and people get excited when it's sunny. You know? So, you know, and I was longing for that again. And Mom and Daddy are getting older, and I wanted to be closer to them.
Yeah.
Then all the way across the country, it was just too far.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you landed here in Roane County. We're happy that you're here,
Thank
obviously,
you.
with a part of this. And you are going to be doing a ukulele song.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
I'm going to do a little medley, yes.
Okay.
I'm kind of a child of the 80s, you know. I love the 80s. It was kind of my 20s, you know, and So I'm doing a little medley of a few pop songs from the 80s.
All right.
Yeah, on the ukulele.
You're not going to get any, people are going to enjoy that for sure.
Good, I hope so. I've enjoyed learning it and learning the ukulele. Just creating my own tabs for how I want to play it and figuring out how it should sound. It's been a great learning experience for me. I've learned a lot more about music by doing that. Because when I played piano, I played a lot by ear when I was young, and I played gospel music, you know. And the lady that taught me at school, she just kind of sat back and let me play, you know, and I just mostly just played by ear. So I didn't learn a lot about theory.
Yes.
And I'm teaching myself. I'm learning a little bit about that and learning how to color chords, you know, with major sevenths and ninths and things like that make it sound even better. And so I'm learning a lot now. You know,
it's interesting that somebody who's played different instruments throughout their lives and been involved in music is just learning. Yeah. It's so neat.
Yeah, it's like you know, and that's one thing I've learned you're never too old to learn something new and to just go for what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I've always been that way. I just kind of get focused on something and I just go with it, you know, and figure it out.
It's very exciting. We're talking with James Rich again, and he's the newbie, as we say, just about a year here in Roane County. And right beside him is Anna Grace Hayes. You are not a newbie to this area whatsoever, Anna. You have been on the radar since you could probably talk, I think. You have been singing and performing and dancing and doing stuff since I can remember. And this is something that you have continued into your very young high school days. Where did this come from? I've asked you this before, but where did that hit you early in your life?
Well, I remember my mama really, when I was really young, telling me a story about how one day we were just out and about, I think actually in Walmart, and she had me in one of those little buggy seats, and her phone rang, and I started humming the little ringtone, and she said that was kind of like the moment when she realized that I really just loved music, because, as you said, I haven't really stopped since.
Yes.
And really, when I think about where I've kind of gotten my gift for music and the arts, I think it's really just something that God has given me and something that I'm really blessed with. And I want to be able to use what power and talent that I do have to be able to, first of all, give it back to Him and give Him the glory, as well as being able to share music with others, because music is such a powerful thing when we really get down to it, and when we're thinking about how just something as simple as a song can affect someone, especially even if we're talking about mental health, then it's just such a powerful thing and something that I can do very easily to make a big impact on someone else.
You know, it's very interesting you say that, because the first time I heard you this past year in basketball season perform the national anthem, I've heard it 1,000 times. We all have. And I knew you sang it before, but I heard you sing it at the basketball game, the first one I was there, and I couldn't come back on the air. That's how powerful it was. I was like, wow, I've heard her sing this before. But in that auditorium, you know, in that gymnasium, and the last time I heard you sing it was a couple years before that, and you had a powerful voice, but I don't know what grew in you, but your voice got even more powerful. Then immediately I hear you do it at the Power game, at the Dirty Birds game, and that's just one song. That's one song, obviously. You sing a lot, and you have been performing a lot. Let's talk about that. We go back to Branson, Missouri. I remember you taking a trip out there. What was that for?
So when I was coming out of the probably second grade, me and my mother and one of my aunts, my Aunt Rachel actually, we went to Branson, Missouri for the Kids on First, which is a group that I've been a part of since first grade, and something really important, especially when we talk about getting kids involved in the arts. We went with them to the Kids on First, like, national singing competition, and it was held in Branson, Missouri. And at the time, I went, Madison Parker, Teresa's granddaughter, she went. And then another Kids on First member at the time, she went as well, and it was just the three of us. And we were on this really big stage with a lot of people that we didn't know because most of them were actually just people from Missouri. And it was kind of funny how it really was, because there was just a big old group of Missouri people, then 3 West Virginians, and I don't even know if there were any other states there, but it really was just a great opportunity. And I actually got to go again the next year back to Branson. And the first year when I competed, I did well, but I didn't really win anything super big. And then the second year, I was actually blessed enough to win a national title. In the category was gospel/patriotic songs. And I was actually the only patriotic song in that category. So they just kind of grouped me with some other people who were singing gospel songs, and I ended up winning that category, which was a really cool experience. And especially just being able to go as such a little kid and say that you've been to Branson, Missouri to compete in something that you love so much is just a cool thing. And I'm so glad that I've had those kinds of opportunities, especially opportunities that have been given to me through Kids on First.
Absolutely, and that's something we talked about with Lori Schultes, who's not with us right now. She's recovering, dealing with some stuff, but we talked a couple weeks ago about the West Virginia Kids on First program and how cool that was, that a lot of kids are involved in that, and it just continues to foster that love of arts in them. We're talking with Anna Grace Hayes and James Rich, who are here, and they're going to be performing Saturday night at the Roan Arts and Humanities variety show. That's a 7 p.m. start, 6:30. The doors will open. It's only $5 to get in, folks, and there's a lot of different things going on. Well, we know James is going to be doing a ukulele melody, and I immediately just went to singing with you, Anna Grace, but you're going to be doing something else as well.
Yes, so I am singing, and I'm also doing another act. I guess you could categorize it as public speaking. I will be performing the FFA Creed by E.M. Tiffany. Actually, so as Drew has mentioned, I'm in high school, and this was actually my first year in high school.
Yeah.
And I've been really involved in the FFA, an organization that is very powerful just in itself, but also really within our community and does a lot of stuff. And when you are a freshman in the FFA, you can compete in the Creed speaking competition. And so I competed in that at the regional level, and I was blessed enough to win that. And then I went to states, actually, just a couple weeks ago at Cedar Lakes during the West Virginia State Convention, and I won that title as well. So I get to go on to Indiana to compete in the national FFA Creed competition.
And that's coming up when? That's in the fall, correct?
Yes. The competition is actually in Indianapolis, Indiana. It happens in November, about mid to early in it.
Okay.
And it happens at the National Convention, which is another really cool thing that FFA kids get to go to.
Can't believe you're involved in FFA. I'm kidding. Anybody that knows her dad knows she lives on a farm. Her dad's an ag teacher. It was a natural fit. Let's just say that. Well, we're looking forward, obviously, to this, Teresa. I want to thank you again for coordinating all this for us to get all these acts in here. And I know you guys are excited to have as many acts as you do for this. And it's going to be a really interesting variety show. This is something that you guys put together early on when you decide you want to have this rebirth. A variety show gives a lot of people in a lot of different avenues a lot of opportunities to perform.
It does. And it also shows all the talent that we have in Roan County in one setting. So I think it's a good thing to start with.
Now, let me ask you one thing. Now, artists, musicians, people who are into that creative genre, many of them have no problem performing in front of people. Has that ever been a problem for you, James, stepping up in front of people?
Well, I played at church. I had to play at church when I was little, and so I got used to going up and doing things, but I kind of got to hide behind the piano, you know. So when I started acting, that made me nervous.
Without
at
having
first.
that instrument crutch in front of you, right?
Right, you know, and I had to use my voice, you know, I had to talk, you know. So that was it made me nervous at first, but I eventually got used to it. It didn't take long, you know, and then I just loved it, you know. I loved the challenge and wanted to do better every time, you know.
Getting hooked on it is what does that.
Oh, it feels so good when you do a good job and you know that you've been in the moment with your character and with what you're doing, and it feels so good, and you can tell the audience connects to that too when you're on like that. And it's hard when you don't feel like you're super on.
Yeah.
You know, you have to deal with that too, but it's a great experience.
It's much more exciting than it is nerve-wracking.
It's so exciting. I love it.
Now, Anna Grace, did you even know what nerves were when you started getting on stage?
Well,
I'm telling you, this girl was in first grade. It didn't seem like she knew what nerves were.
Well, thank you, Drew. I appreciate that sentiment. Honestly, when I think about going on a stage or just performing anywhere, I do think for a moment I kind of get a case of the nerves, but I just kind of try to brush them off and just remind myself that, like, Anna Grace, you're going to do something that you love.
And you're good at.
Oh, well, thank you. And you get to share it with other people. And I also, like, sometimes I feel like being on a stage and performing for people is a lot easier than actually trying to talk to people.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think it also kind of stems from, as you said, doing all this stuff so young that a stage is just kind of a home for me. So
That's great.
I really enjoy that and just try to let the nerves go if there are any.
Yeah, well,
I think also that if you don't have any nerves, you need to be worried. Whenever you're a little bit nervous, then you're focused.
You're focused, yes.
Yeah. You're into what you're doing.
And then the nerves just constantly melt away as you start doing what it is you're doing. Well, we're very excited about this upcoming show. We hope that people do decide to attend in droves. And again, it's at 7 p.m. on Saturday night. It's at Roane County High School's auditorium. James Rich will be doing a ukulele medley. And Anna Grace Hayes will be doing two things. She'll be doing the Creed for the FFA, and we'll be singing a song as well. Do we know what song it is? Are we allowed to know?
I mean,
You
I
don't
guess,
have to say.
Well, you know, in the sense of surprise, we'll just leave it at that.
I like it.
Yeah.
You got to show up to find out, folks. You got to show up to find out. Well, Teresa, thank you for bringing these people to us, and we continue to help promote this event. We'll be back again this evening, but in fact, at 5 o'clock, just a little after 5. You have a couple more acts here, and we will get things ready to go for Saturday night. James Rich, Anna Grace Hayes, thank you all so much.
Thank you so much.
And we will continue our show tonight at 5 p.m. or a little bit after, folks. Don't forget, it is Saturday at 7 p.m. Just $5 gets you in the door for the Roane Arts and Humanities Council Variety Show.